The Curse of Cassandra. Our story begins in the ancient city of Troy. Cassandra was a princess born to King Priam and Queen Hecuba of Troy. All who beheld her declared her the most beautiful girl in all the city, if not the entire land. However, no man was ever to win Cassandra for his bride, as she had taken a solemn vow of chastity to serve as a priestess of Apollo, the god of archery, the sun, and prophetic truths. The god had been watching Cassandra, and was so taken by her grace and charms that he wished to have her. For she was beautiful and clever, with hair the colour of mahogany and misty grey eyes, tall and elegant. One night in the temple of Apollo, exhausted from practicing the rites, Cassandra fell asleep. As she slept there, the enamoured god came to her. The bright light which must have emanated from the sun deity himself must have been hard to bear. There the archer confessed his great desire for Cassandra as eloquently as only the god of poetry may. He promised her the power of prophecy, if only she would give him her favour. This she promised. And the snakes of Apollo came to her and licked her ears, and thereafter she could hear the far-off voices of the future. However, as the god then wished to make love to Cassandra, she became unsure. What of her vows? She decided she had no desire to lie with him, and told him as much. Her rejection sent Apollo into a fearsome rage. How dare she deny him? How dare she say no when he has given her such a rare gift? Struck by the sudden fury of a spurned lover, Apollo cursed the Princess Cassandra, that forevermore, even though she could tell the future, nobody would believe her prophecies. Thus, Cassandra's new gift became her curse. Her gift of prophecy quickly became her greatest source of pain, for the people of Troy labelled her a liar and a mad woman. She was often locked up in a pyramidal building on the citadel, on the orders of her father, King Priam. She was accompanied there by the wardress, who cared for her under orders to inform the king of all his daughter's prophetic utterances. Unable to warn the people of Troy of the doom she knew was coming, she tried in vain to prevent Paris leaving for Sparta. She cursed and spat at the wretched Helen when the accursed harlot came into the city. She cried, "Apollo, Apollo, god of all ways but only deaths to me. Once and again, O thou destroyer named, thou hast destroyed me, thou my love of old." Cassandra had instructed her twin brother Helenus in the art of prophecy. Like her, Helenus was always correct whenever he made his predictions, but he was believed. However, in this case, when he echoed her words, the curse's effect seemed to take hold of him too, and he was disbelieved also. Perhaps it was simply that Paris and the people of Troy had grown arrogant. Seeing the fate of her mother, her father, and so many leaders and people around her as well as her own, powerless to stop it, she went half mad. After the fall of Troy, Cassandra was abducted and taken as a concubine for the king Agamemnon of Mycenae. So much for her vows that she had wished to protect. As she entered that splendid palace, Cassandra's heart sunk, for she recognized the scenes from one of her visions. This was to be the place where she would die, and not only that, where both she and the king would die at the hands of his adulterous wife. Cassandra knew her curse would make warning him practically impossible, but she had to try. So as soon as she could, she entered the king's chambers and flung herself at his feet, imploring him to listen. But, just like every other prophecy she told, her words were taken not as truth, but as the ramblings of a madwoman. King Agamemnon dismissed every word Cassandra said. "My wife is loyal. She would never do such a thing. You are mad to spout such bile. Know your place, concubine." However, what the king didn't know was that while he was away during the war, his wife had taken another lover, in secret, and the two wished to be rid of him, so that they might be together without secrecy, after the appropriate period of mourning, of course. The king's wife and her lover murdered both Cassandra and the king. However, the rest of the gods took pity on Cassandra's soul, and sent her to rest in the pleasant realms of the Elysian fields.